One of the classic westerns and a key western in movie history that influences Martin Scorsese, George Lucas, and so on. It is the fabric of movies from the last 60 years. It's John Ford's 1956 classic, The Searchers. What's this movie about? Let's talk about it and analyze it. Coming up next. The Searchers is based on a novel by Alan LeMay. I highly recommend you read it. The movie is very interesting. 1956, it enters into a time and place where John Wayne is a superstar. John Ford has made a lot of movies. Westerns are the thing on TV especially, but in movies, and have been for 15, 20, 30 years. And now you're starting to get the Antihero to creep into movies. You have for the last 10 to 15 years at this point in 1956. And now John Wayne sort of plays against type as an anti-hero, a nasty character named Ethan Edwards. In a movie, because he does this, I think, very important in movie history, you get license even for a lot of people, a lot of actors, and then directors and screenwriters to then take this kind of character and make this the main character in movies forever from 1956 onward. So this character is Ethan Edwards, an ex-Confederate. He's probably robbed banks or some kind of supply train. He's got a criminal record. This is all hinted at very early on, but you might miss it if you don't pay too much attention. And he might even have had a fling with his brother's wife, either before she was married or during. Definitely some weird touching moments with her as an in-law. Anyway, he returns from the Civil War and he claims it's not over for him, and he's still a saber rattler. So he's a violent man. And then he ends up being a very nasty man. To his adopted nephew, an orphan whom he rescued years ago, adopted into his brother's family. He's very nasty to this character named Martin Pauly, who is 1/8 Cherokee. That means he's 7/8 white. He's nearly like, and he's culturally like Ethan Edwards, but Ethan Edwards dismisses him because of his 1/8 bloodline as an Indian.
Because Ethan found you, squalling under a sage clump after your folks had been massacred.
It just happened to be me. No need to make more of it.
Come on, blanket head.
You blanket head!
He calls this man, Martin Pauly, a blanket head several times, mocks him through the movie, and that's what critics and other reviewers have noted. Ethan Edwards is definitely a nasty, maybe a racist person. Certainly could call him that. As almost a villain. And that's what I mean by anti-hero. He's the star of the movie. He is going to search for his niece who's been captured by the Comanche. And he searches endlessly. The goal of the movie is for him to find her. It's almost like rescuing a princess from a fortress or from a big bad boss sort of movie. But the character who's searching, one of them, Ethan Edwards, is really mean and despicable at times. And this is the character we're rooting for, and this is the character that John Wayne chose to portray? Well, yes, and so that's what I'm saying. Martin Scorsese takes this and runs with it and has a lot of, movies where the main characters are very nasty people as sort of types or archetypes of American culture in general. Now, Ethan Edwards, I think this is very interesting, is trying to his niece from the Comanche, and the big bad boss of the Comanche, the chief Scar, who is a nasty man himself, who scalped a lot of people. And the musical cues are very stereotypical for Scar as we look at him, and he's just disgusting and disturbing as a villain.
But none of them was Nyackes, nor claimed to know a war chief called Scar. Scar.
Nevertheless, I think Ethan Edwards in this movie has a lot in common with Scar. That is, the hero and the villain are far more similar in this movie, and over movie history and literary history, in the 20th century, the heroes and villains start to become much more similar to the point where we outright say Batman needs the Joker in order to be Batman. It's sort of like that in this movie with Ethan Edwards. He needs Scar to be Ethan to have a point of contrast, but Scar's a person who will scalp people. Well, guess what Ethan Edwards does in this movie? He will scalp people.
You speak good Comanche. Someone teach you?
Scar will take revenge on people and go after the white people who purportedly killed his two sons. Well, guess what Ethan Edwards does? He'll get revenge on the Comanche who purportedly, well, they do, kill his family. And the way Ethan shot at times, close shots, shadowy shots, black hat, music played while we see Ethan is similar at times to Scar. And that's why I'm saying the movie deliberately makes a choice to make the hero, the American hero, the Texas ex-Confederate, more like the villain than perhaps he would even want to be, or even perhaps than he knows. Now, Ethan's going after, with Martin Pauly, Debbie, the little girl, the one left over after the Indians raided the homestead. Why is he going after her? And then he wants to kill her. Well, why? Culturally, she's become an Indian, according to him, and a lot of women, according to the stories, historically, and in this movie for sure, go crazy. They don't know who they are anymore. And so to go kill Debbie is to get rid of her and help her out, perhaps. Now, we learn in this movie that Debbie actually is not crazy at all. She's just an Indian living as an Indian after being captured for many, many years. And so, Ethan has no reason to kill her, but he does still want to do this. One question is why? I think it's because Ethan suffers from deep guilt at leaving his brother and family at the homestead early in the movie, while he and all the men go off to try to stop whoever they are, the cattle rustlers. Maybe they're Indians, but they don't know at that point. He leaves them all behind, leaves the homestead unguarded, and when he goes back, in a moment that George Lucas quotes in 1977 Star Wars, you go back to the homestead and it's all destroyed, and people are killed, including your aunt and uncle for Martin Pauly, like Luke Skywalker. Ethan has to see all of these dead people, and I think he takes responsibility for it. Now, the movie doesn't really tell us that he feels guilty outright through dialogue, but this is a movie of great subtleties, as I've hinted at, and you sort of have to read into these character motivations, and I think we can see Ethan is feeling quite guilty about what he probably has done here.
I found Lucy back in the canyon. Wrapped her in my coat. Buried her with my own hands.
So thus, to kill Debbie off is to kill the thing off, or get rid of the thing that's haunting him, the guilt that he feels. I also think in this movie there's definitely a contrast between domestic Americans, here domestic Texans, at the homestead. The movie opens with a door opening out into nature, the wider world of Monument Valley, where this movie was shot, where the interior is nice, pleasant, homely, maybe feminine, set up and orderly. The exterior is desert-like, and out there are the Indians, and you want to be in the world of the home versus out there searching, as these two characters, Ethan and Martin, do throughout the movie. It's more domestic, it's more civil, obviously. However, in this movie, Debbie has been out there for years, and she's not been in the domestic space as the rest of the women are in the movie. So to kill her off is to say she can't come back inside the home anymore. She can't be a domestic Texan. And to kill off that sort of natural wild woman that she's become, or just wildness, period. Nevertheless, Ethan is deeply associated in this movie with the wild open spaces. And I want to look at the last shot in particular. It's a great last shot. It's commenting on the first shot of the movie where the door opens, the sister-in-law looks out, and here comes Ethan to the homestead. Here at the end, everybody goes inside the home. Ethan stays on the outside of the home. He doesn't go inside. He's left as a lone figure, almost a silhouette on the horizon, framed by the door frame, and he'll stay out there. Now, this is like the characters coming in even to the movie theater, walking from screen into the movie theater. Certainly within the frame, it's them going from nature into the domestic space. Ethan is not allowed into either place, either into the domestic space, the civilized parts of America, or the movie theater world of us. He's out there roaming the territory with the Comanche. He's out there like an Indian, and he will forever be wild, rebellious, criminal, and nasty and mean out there. Meanwhile, we're safe inside both the movie theater and the home that is in the last shot. So I think that's a very strong comment on movie characters at this time, and on this sort of ex-Confederate character. Maybe in movies, John Ford is trying to ditch the Confederacy as a sort of, a possible hero type for Ethan Edwards. Certainly ditching, I think, racism, for anti-Indian racism in movies. I think this is sort of John Ford's apology for earlier movies he made, like Stagecoach, where he portrayed Indians very negatively. Here you've got an American who's like the Indians, and Ford is saying, I'm going to ditch, I think with this last shot, ditch that kind of character and ditch his emotions and preferences by leaving him on the outside to roam around. Now that's one way to read The Last Shot. I'm very curious how you read this movie, and particularly this last shot. There is so much to say about this movie. I will say one more thing. It's like a virtual vacation to Monument Valley. Put it on a big screen. Even the digital version looks amazing in HD, whether it's Blu-ray or 4K. If you get a hold of the 33mm film, that would be fabulous, and put it on a giant screen, because that's how it's supposed to be seen in VistaVision. But just to look at this movie is remarkable. I love American Desert, so of course I love this movie and just the look of it. Monument Valley probably has never looked better than it has in this movie. So it's one reason to watch this movie, to go take a vacation there virtually. What do you think about what I said? Let us know in the comments. Please subscribe to this channel. The Searchers is so great. Thank you. Have a great day.